right? If I had, and I've been very lucky, but my dream guest is Roberto Saviano. Roberto Saviano Rocamora. Like you and I would have a hard. Like I would probably like.
I would. He would be. It would be him or Joey Messino.
Yeah, that's that.
Yeah, I would
probably Messino a little more, just because for obvious reasons.
Sure,
but Saviano will be a close second, and he does a really good video on Antonio Pele, who wasn't born into Ndrangheta, but became a big Ndrangheta boss. And he talked about the rise of the Ndrangheta, which we should do probably a good show on, where they started off kidnapping and they took that money and doubled down in the coke. And they had a decision to make. They said to themselves, they said, are we going to F with coke or are we going to F with heroin like the Sicilians? They opted for coke because they felt there was a better class of people, less people dying, and these people have the money and resources to come back.
I've never understood.
Essentially, these people die off quicker and may not have the means to buy. Again, I don't want to get into the moral aspect. And that's what made Ndrangheta a $50 billion organization, that and pills in Australia, $50 billion a year organization, just because they doubled down in coke. So, but what I don't get is mixing the fentanyl with the coke. That part I don't, because your margins are like 99%. What do you need, that 99.4% margin more? I don't get that.
Yeah, I've never, and I think again, this is the problem long term, where greed is just going to be. Hey, Chad, I think that's going to be the downfall of a lot of this stuff, where I think these groups are just going to kill themselves because of the constant greed. I get that the street user wants certain things, but
Jesus,
as I've said with you, like, and what you just said, cocaine is a great business to be in because, again, you're getting high-powered people that want it. It's, unless you're doing a lot of it, it's not going to kill you. It's socially acceptable.
Right.
Same with marijuana, right? You look at even into some of the Sinaloa stuff, Chapitos, for instance, the sons of Chapo, they're actually getting into the legal weed business. So I agree. I don't get it. And I'm looking at it from the higher level. I'm not looking at what the street user wants. I'm not in that cohort. But I think we're starting to see that most of the people that are doing these drugs, those are not the ways. Do you actually think that's how they figure this stuff out? I don't think, but I don't know. It's going to be greed that does them in, I think, long term.
I agree. And what I don't get is they also put fentanyl like in weed, which I again, like, I try to think how they think, not how I think. What's the benefit of putting fentanyl in weed? Like, imagine getting, obviously now it's legal in New Jersey. I can go to the dispensary.
I don't get it.
When I do, I'm more of an edible guy. I don't like smoking it. But my point being is, and that fears me too. I don't trust. That's the other part too, Jeff, real quick. I worked in pharmaceuticals for 20 years, right? And they would have like a clean room and they would have these like ET suits and they would have all these things and people would still die of a contamination. Not often, but they would.
Tom,
just imagine it was made in like my basement with like some dude with a cigarette who just like took a shit and didn't wash his hands. I never understood that part of drug use.
This is why, and I will say this till I'm blue in the face. In my 33 years of life, I have never done one drug ever. I've never smoked weed. I've never done anything. And I don't, because I think the greatest way I can prevent that nonsense from happening is just not doing it. Right? Understanding I'm just not going to consume it, and I get that there's legal ways to do things, and I don't fault anyone that does. Everybody does it. But you're right. It all happens. And I think I would just tell anyone that watches this today, I think if you take anything out of what we're talking about here, and back to the story of the 4 people that went to Mexico, I just strongly advise you to research and understand the world, right? Get and understand that you need to educate yourself, because I feel like, Tom, if those people that went down to Mexico, I feel like if they would have heard this show,